Hello, everybody. It is Tuesday, and today we are talking money, money, money. My guest today is giving away free money, or actually, he's going to give away advice on how you get money and how you get the right money. So I'm going to introduce him. His name is Christie-David. He's the co-founder of Atelier Wealth, which is an award-winning mortgage brokerage firm. Right? He works with the team, but he launched this business with his wife, Bernadette. They specialise in helping busy professionals buy their first investment property. And what sets Aaron apart is his approach to looking at the bigger picture when it comes to money. I know that's something that I didn't get a lot of training in through school, and I went to one of the elite schools in Sydney. And it really wasn't until I got into business that I had to understand the flow of money, what it actually represents, how to use it, how to maximize it. So today's show is all about money. Before we get into there, Aaron, welcome to the show.
Thanks very much, Glenn. Pleasure to be here.
So I've asked you to give me a couple of little notes and stuff like that, and I've just read out your bio, but why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about Aaron?
Great, thanks very much. Yeah, my name's Aaron. I'm a mortgage broker. I guess it's on a professional level with a background in financial services and marketing. Started the business Atelier Wealth 4 years ago with Bernadette, my wife, the co-founders. And I guess fast forward to now, 4 years later, we made a bit of a sea change out of Sydney, so we're down the coast, and proud dad to Sienna, who is 2, and we're expecting our second pretty much any week now as well. And and I guess that's where we kind of blend personal life, professional life, and I guess enjoying what we do, mate. And I'm a bit of a cricket tragic on top of that, and really looking forward to the summer ahead.
Cool. Well, it must be just you down in Wollongong at the moment?
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
Okay. So for everybody just joining on the show, g'day Mick. I'm seeing a couple of people jump on now. Feel free to make sure you click the StreamYard link. That means that when you ask any questions, and we'll get to those at the end, that we'll be able to bring up and talk about your name specific. If you want to remain anonymous, that's perfectly fine. If you're a bank robber, you may want to do that because we're talking about money, but that's cool. Listen, I want to start off finding out a little bit about you, and this one's a curly one. So I was given these really cool cards, and they're called uniqueness cards. So you've got a choice to dial between 1 and 52. I'm going to read out, and on the back is a question. You're going to read out a number for me and a number for you. So why don't we go with you first?
Go for it. I'll go 25.
25. Okay, so everybody can see that is the 25 card. And on the back is, what's the worst excuse you've ever made to get out of something?
I think I'm going to go for an oldie but a goodie. A flat tire is pretty much a good one. Flat tire, and I'm the son of a mechanic, so it doesn't really fly very well, and I can't change my own tire.
Right.
But that's an oldie but a goodie, I think.
You know what? I've probably told way too many lies in growing up, and one of the things that business has taught me is that you've really got to be in check with your integrity. And I'm sure, Aaron, you've learned this now. So whenever I go through things, good things and bad things, I'm actually going to share exactly what's going on. I'd rather give people that slight little disappointment now rather than disappoint them sort of later on. And you know what? COVID has just proved life just happens sometimes, doesn't it?
Oh, mate, totally.
So
I guess it's that sleep at night factor, really, isn't it? Like you don't have to kind of cover your tracks if you've just been straight up.
Correct. You know, and I think that comes with certainty around who you are and what your business does. I mean, from my very first chat to you, I just knew straight away, this guy just gets it. He's very, very comfortable in his own skin. He's confident what he wants to do with his wife, with his family, and how he's going to leverage his time and his business to get all those types of things that he wants for his family. Came across as really good a family man. So congratulations to you. So tell me, what's the biggest challenge you said down here? I said, what's your biggest challenge in business? And you said, what, just one? So what are some of the challenges that, other listeners could learn and probably appreciate, sort of going, yeah, well, I've gone through that too?
Totally. I think if you take any self-starter, someone self-employed, probably stepped out to do it my way or our way, for example. It means you kind of want to throw the rule books out. But I think sometimes there is a beauty in some of the rules, which I've more appreciated recently. So you come out, thinking business is very arty, it's an art form, and I'm going to be creative in how I build it. Then you get to the point where you transition going, it's actually a bit more scientific, which is there are processes, there are formulas, there are success blueprints that you will follow. And I think that's where you not give up some of the creative element, but you kind of double down on going, well, this is what works and I need to focus on this. And that was probably a big challenge for me going, I want to be a free spirit, but that will only get you so far. And that's probably one thing I've learned. Another huge thing is energy, I guess where the energy goes. And that culminates into a lot of things, I feel, Glenn. One is which I guess burnout. Again, energy kind of outlay at the start, passion or what you want to focus on will again only get you to a certain point in business, right? When you look at the small business stats around failure rates, I guess people go all out, and a 2-year mark becomes a turning point, which is you either expelled on energy or expelled on cash, and cash is another energy component as well. And I think those are the two parts that I really feel in business. It's, do you double down and go, hang on, I'm not going to be the technician, but I still can be a bit scientific about how I'm building it. And then the other part really is around, where's my energy going, and am I like refueling myself energy wise, because you keep giving and giving and giving to the business, which you can keep taking, but how are you refueling yourself as well?
I think you've put a really important point on the business of learning lessons, because how does a creative person or someone that likes to be free-spirited and creative then also learn the discipline of all the previous people that have done that role before and learn those lessons, but still then apply that creativity? It is a difficult lesson. I think a lot of people have struggled. I know I have in the past. But if you follow the patterns about what's proven and then just add your uniqueness to it, and that's your flair. And I think that just comes with confidence again. And then again, of course, what is the whole purpose of actually doing it? And how to refuel yourself. I used to look at the gym that way, I've got to go to the gym, right? And now I'm like going, you know what? I don't go to the gym because I don't like my body. I go to the gym because I love my body, and this is what it needs. And when I go there, I used to be, selfies and photographs and taking and messaging and all that sort of thing. And by the way, I probably did one this morning. But when I'm actually there at the gym, I don't think about anybody else besides me and the trainer. There's I work in a small class. I don't worry about any of the other people there. And I used to do that. So this is the me time. This is where I get to recharge and rebuild, leave the gym, and then come back and do. So is that the same sort of thing for you? I mean, how do you take time out? Do you surf? What are you doing?
Yeah, look, I used to love going to the gym. And I guess having a young baby and being in business with your wife, like there's a juggle. So there's a certain element to going, hey, and my reality is slightly different. When I was just asked, we could get up early, go to the gym and spend an hour and eat healthy and prepare. So I think it comes down to, can you get up early? So my thing is, can I eat better instead of going to the gym and compensate that way as well? Can we go for a walk and tie that in as a family, a bit of family time, instead of being able to spend 45 minutes at the gym every single day, which you may not have the luxury for. It's just not my time at the moment, Glenn. And I just had to, I think it's one that, again, that reality that you go through going, juggling, what are my top 3 kind of balls I'm going to be juggling? Family, business, relationships, or work, or personal and mental health over maybe physical health, but can I eat healthy to supplement that as well? And that's just the journey that I've gone on probably the last few months, where I'm like, I don't have that much time. And we can all find time, but my time is going to go into elsewhere, which is spending time with Sienna at the moment.
And I guess what you mentioned there is it's going away from Aaron time to going more towards Aaron family time.
Right?
How can I still get we time? Yeah, that's a good lesson. That's a good one for all the fellas to learn out there. Hey, so Aaron, you have different components to your business, and you seem to focus on one area and Bernadette focuses on another. So can you just let us know, who are the people that you mostly serve?
Yeah, so for myself, I mainly work with property investors. Now, the reason why I like property investors is because investing in property can be rewarding if it's done well. And I always go back to a bit of analogy, which is, you can speak to a mortgage broker, or a financial planner, or a buyer's agent, parents, friends, family, media, and you're getting a number of conflicting, I guess, advice or guidance about how to buy an investment property or build a portfolio. So what I'm doing is I'm stripping back all the noise and saying, look, here's what you can do from an options point of view. What do you want to do, and can we match that together, rather than kind of chasing a shiny object in investing in property? There's so many ways to do it. What's going to work best for you? So some people love being hands-on and renovating. Some people just aren't that way inclined and want to move into more of a blue chip area. Some people don't want that. They want to go regional. So again, it's going, well, there's so many ways to do it. What do you want to do and how can we help you get there? And that's pretty much my premise when I work with property investors. Bernadette deals with self-employed clients. So Bernie's background in tax and accounting gives her a unique insight into reading financials, speaking the accountant language as well, and understanding, because self-employed are one of the unique clients that don't really get a lot of love from banks, and then be able to understand that going, there are options available to you, whether you're minimizing your income for minimizing tax, that's one part, but then also if you want to increase your borrowing capacity, do you suck up and pay some tax? And then working, I guess, really close with an accountant and a financial planner to give really good results for a self-employed client. And again, that niching and that specialization has helped us really understand our clients' problems.
So my daughter is 20 and I'm starting to go through the process of when do I start introducing her to professionals, right? So when do I introduce her to an accountant? When should I introduce her to a broker? And something you just said then really resonated, sort of going, you really are looking for or to have a relationship with someone in regards to finance who can help you out throughout your life, right?
Yeah.
And so there's different points, that she's 20 and she absolutely is ready to buy a investment property. I don't know what you were doing at 20, but I sure as shit wasn't ready to buy an investment property. And she's got herself in the position through, I guess, just being around the positiveness of, here at home. And I'm sort of going, you know what? It doesn't matter whether or not it's your first property or whatever happens, because life does have a tendency to go up and down. But you do need a relationship with a finance broker, don't you?
You do, mate. And I think the other part is we can only lead a horse to the water. So for someone like your daughter, I meet plenty of 20-year-olds that their parents want to give them an assistance to get into the market, or some 20-year-olds can do it on their own. We can get you to a point where here's your options, but you've got to be willing to take the next step. And I think when you say, how do we get young people, particularly young people, really engaged, it's finding someone they can not aspire to, but really respect their opinion or their advice and guidance as well. So that's, I guess, one part for me was when it comes from your parents, it's a bit that whole like push-pull, right? So it comes from your parents, it's like, do this, and you just rebel against it, you do the exact opposite. Whereas I think for younger people that find, and there's some really good businesses that deal especially with millennials, or especially with Gen X or Y, for example. So again, they've carved out a really good niche. They understand that they want to have a mortgage, but also have a lifestyle and travel in the future when we can. And they speak their language. And I think that's where for someone like your daughter, she'll seek out, I guess, a life that she wants to live, and then be able to find the right partners to join her on the journey. I think that's the word that we're using, is partners, because we're here, and as much as we can serve you and we'll get you to a point, that's what we're looking for, and we're in this partnership together.
I think obviously being around me, Glenn, that referral guy, they're used to me always talking about the value of relationships, right? So the first introduction I would have done there is when they bought cars, right? I introduced them to a mechanic, and I sort of said, you've got no idea on how valuable this one contact is going to make a difference to your life. Because how many of you know about cars? I know it needs petrol. I drive an expensive car and it needs petrol. And he could tell me one time it needs a $2 fuse or it needs a $2,000 part. I wouldn't know, right? And the same could be done for if you don't explain to someone and they get what you want out of life. That could be different between 0.5% in interest rate, not a lot, but over 30 years could be a lot, right? Great. So you've got to have that partner with someone. So tell me, what are you doing right now to actually grow your business?
Yeah, I guess it's really clear our growth plan for the year, and expecting a second baby means that our growth plans are pretty slightly different to where they have been. So knowing that our time constraints can be kind of different, but I guess for us, we've really bunkered down on, say, CRM. So having the CRM functionality and automation on tasks, for example, templates. So building a lot of the intelligence in our business has been critical to get us to this stage. Another part is, again, focusing on team. So leveraging what I call leveraging time with team is another part. So I guess the more people we can have on our team and the right bums on seats as well. Areas of speciality. So having our team focus on one element of the client experience and being really expert in that section and being able to hand across. And as a loan application moves, that's a really big part that we're focusing on as well. And then we have metrics. So a big part of it is our dashboard and our optics in terms of if I'm looking at the business on a weekly level, are we on track? Are we off track? And being able to have that finger on the pulse, for me, gives me confidence that we're headed in the right direction. So we're taking our annual growth target, broken down that quarterly, which is how we're kind of incentivized as a team. They're taking that monthly, weekly, and then daily. So each day we've start of day, end of day reports and how we're tracking. End of the week call as well, which we do our pulse call on a Friday afternoon. How did we go this week? Is it all green? Is it all red? And that's almost as lead indicators. So if you understand the kind of the nature of our business is a loan settles, which is when the business generates revenue. But that lag time could take about 100 days for that to hit our bank account. So the work that I'm doing today is 100 days in advance. So I need to kind of be measuring what I'm doing today that will impact the business. And then I guess the flow-on effect that has from the team and a capacity point of view is we've really broken those optics down to be, is it a lead factor or a lag factor when we're measuring the business and our performance, and then breaking that down into individual team performances as well. So I think that's one part that we've matured in. Instead of going from a gut feel, we're now really metricated into how our business and our team are performing as well.
I really like that. When I brought on my first coach, he always used to tell me, like, where do you want to be? And you always need to be monitoring your statistics on a daily basis or a weekly basis. I didn't get it for a couple of years, but he described to me it as, Glenn, you're flying from here to LA. The pilot gets in and types in the destination. But, why don't they've got the autopilot? Why don't they just let the plane just go itself? It's because they always need to make these corrections along the way. They're constantly doing that for 17 hours. And you're kind of doing the same thing with your business. If you're not looking at those numbers, how can you pivot and turn and weave to make sure that you are moving in that, that end point, LA, that's the destination, that's where we're going. And you can't do it without the numbers. So that's really good. So that's a key point for anybody listening.
You're right there, mate. And it's exactly that analogy. It's like when you're trying to get there and you're just a little bit off course, and where that leads you to, 365 days, you can be well off track. And so what we do is we found that measuring on a monthly basis just didn't give us a chance to kind of move the shit quickly enough. So measuring on a weekly basis without overkill just kind of kept us on track. So if we're done on leads last week, right, we need to double down on leads this week and get more inquiries in and make the phones ring. So how do we do that? More meetings, for example. So we were able to kind of really just put our finger on the pulse going, this leads to this, and that ultimately gets an application and a submission, and we ultimately get, that's how we get revenue. So for us, it's taking a bit of the guesswork out and replacing that going, if we get this right, the formula, this will work. And so we're trying to have fun without it being all scientific as well, right?
Yeah, well, it's not. It is that small percentage. Really, your product. People can get all over, all right? And so, therefore, how do you separate yourself from anybody else, right? If you're not on top of your targets or knowing your activities to do, then how are you actually going to make sure that you arrive safely at the end destination? I really love the quote. Do you remember the quote that you sent through? Was your favorite quote?
I've got a number of favorite quotes. Okay.
Well, the one you wrote down here was, what's your thoughts? They become your words. What's your words? They become your actions. What's your actions? They become your habits. What's your habits? Because they become your character. What's your character? It becomes your destiny. And that's kind of exactly what you just described then, by making sure that, up here is things happen. COVID was a big example of that for a lot of people, going down a particular path, and all of a sudden something happens that changed everything. It wasn't good. It wasn't bad. It was just a change. And how did you adapt to that particular change? For some of the businesses that I've reached out to, nothing changed for them. It might have changed for their clients, but nothing changed for them. Other people, totally destroyed. All right. But was their goal to run a big business, or was their goal to have a great life? What was the goal for them? I don't know.
Yeah.
Hey, so you also mentioned that there's the high churn, I guess, failure in your industry. It's about 50% industry. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I mean, I've sat around a number of different working groups, especially in our industry, talking about, so we have a 50% failure rate in the first 18 months, which is,
Wow.
it's a high attrition rate. It doesn't do wonders for us as a new entrant coming in, because you go, is that statistic going to be me? That's one. It also doesn't gel well with customers going, if they had a broker and they're not around in 18 months, there's a lack of relationship, there's lack of trust in our industry as well. So I think our industry has to really step up, but then it's also getting the right candidate and the right person to come into the industry. So I think to answer your question briefly there, Glenn, I think the industry has pitched itself as being a lifestyle business, and mortgage broking can be a lifestyle. That couldn't be further from the truth. It's not a lifestyle business. Once you're busy, there is no lifestyle, because the phone will just ring constantly, which is a blessing, but for the wrong person, that's a curse as well, because there is no off button. The other part is it's 100% commission based. So there is, while it's a relationship part, there is a sales element to it, because if you don't sell, you don't eat. And the cash flow there is, and it can be very lumpy, because you can go from feast to famine very quickly, because you can have a really good month, but then you haven't kind of focused on your pipeline, so then it goes quiet again. It's like you focus on your pipeline, it gets busy again, then you come back, and it just has that tendency to be a bit of a roller coaster as well. And I think the other part is emotionally, we deal with one of the most stressful components of people's lives, which is buying a property, whether it's buying their first home, buying an investment property. We are effectively an intermediary, so we don't make the decision. We send it to a bank to make a decision. So you lose control part of the process as well. So if you're new and you don't understand that part, and you're over-promising to a customer, and then you're suddenly left with this really high emotional energy that's coming at you every day, again, you're not really equipped for, the industry doesn't equip you for that. It's teaching you how to structure a loan, or then how to send it to a bank, for example, but no one's giving you those softer skills, which is how do you build relationships? How do you not have commission breath? How do you nurture people to be around for a long time? Whereas, every one of the awards, every one of our industry accolades is built around revenue, how much you settle, how much you write, and it can lead you down this path of like, right, but are you growing a profitable business? Are you growing an enjoyable business? Are you growing a productive team? And so you can start to see there's so many different elements that come into this, that just selling and writing loans will only get you so far before you either burn out or you haven't got a profitable business. Take your pick. And that, I think, is where the industry failure rate can almost be attributed to as well.
Did you ever go to the circus and see, my first experiences were, I saw a lady come out in a Chinese outfit, and she had these plates, and then she had these long bits of bamboo, and like she got one up, spinning a plate on top of it, and wow, that's amazing. And she got another one up, and she got up to 6 plates, and by the time she gets up to the 6th one, it's rushing back to the first one again to spin that bamboo. And I guess that's a little bit what you just described. It sounds like, at first you only see one plate, and you're thinking, this is great, right? And then they say, no, you've got another bamboo and another bit of bamboo and a plate. So
exactly, and spot on, that analogy. Yeah.
Getting teams, getting your systems and all that sort of things is absolutely correct. And if you don't learn those lessons as a business owner, it'll come bite you in the bum, and that'll be one of those ones where the plate falls over and you go, okay, well, I've got to spin that one. What did I learn? How can I get better at doing this? And, to be an award-winning business after 4 years, one, as you said, 50% failure rate and the first 18 months, but then to be in business still 4 years, growing, got a good team and winning these awards, you're doing things right. So what would you say, what's going on in the market for people? What should they be looking when they're thinking about choosing a broker? Because, to us as the buyer, our options are the bank, which, they've got a range of products to sell. And then you've got a broker. So tell us a little bit about, the topic part of the industry before we get into the talk.
Yeah, so how to interview, or what are the filters when you're looking for a mortgage broker? So I think there's one thing for us, which is, am I the right client for them? So some brokers that I know specifically work with first home buyers. And they are a different challenge, because the questions are plenty. The emotional energy is different to, say, someone that's been there and bought 3 investment properties but needs a broker to get to their 4th. And some brokers don't specialize in investment lending, because again, it takes on a different niche. Self-employed, self-managed super funds, again. So niching and then areas of speciality I tend to look at instead of being a generalist. that's one. Experience, knowledge, technical knowledge, that's kind of a baseline. But again, you want to kind of, have your finger on the pulse. And is this person new, or is this person very much more experienced as well? I guess the other part is support. So you want to be able to treat our customers as if they're all new, even if they're existing customers. So are they getting the same level of service consistently as well? What are the other parts that I'd say? Yeah, that's what I call lender. There's two things here. Lender selection. So again, in our business, we've worked with 25 lenders in the last 12 months. The average mortgage broker will use 4 or 5. So are you going somewhere because that's convenient for yourself as a broker, or are you going somewhere that's right for the customer? So being able to quiz it, I talk about that being, when you go to like a little restaurant or cafe and they've got like the grading on it, like A, B, C, like the health grading. That's what I think is when people go to a broker going, what is your lender usage rate? So again, are you a broker of convenience, or are you a broker of what you need to do for your customers as well?
Because I think,
and the other part,
sorry, I don't think a lot of people understand that a bank might have 4 or 5 different products, right, to offer their clients. These are the different types of loans we have. We have this loan that gives you this rate, and it's got these types of terms and conditions on it. And then we have this one, which is completely different. And this one for sole traders, this one for, so they've got about 4 or 5 products. Whereas a broker really has access to that bank and lots of other lenders as well. But you're saying that some brokers, because of their knowledge base around each particular distinction in the products, really only chooses about 4 or 5 of those institutions and sort of go, you know what, I'm just going to work with these because they serve the majority of terms. And therefore you think you're getting a broker service, but actually you're just getting a broker who's probably, he doesn't tell you, but he's a little bit lazy because it's not a bespoke product for you and what's going on in your life. Okay,
and
that makes
sense. It could be part of niching where you go, hey, look, I'm a niche broker and these 4 or 5 banks only offer these type of products. I get it. So it's not a dig at competitors. It's just more to say, are they really going the extra mile, or are they doing kind of what's convenient for them? And the other part is what I call loan submission quality. And I don't think this gets any airplay. So this to me is the detail and depth of the notes that go with the application. So let's say, for example, I've got a married couple. They may be in their 40s or 50s. The bank says, well, they haven't got 30 years worth of working life left in them. How do we address that? So we'll be proactive, and we'll talk about have they got enough in superannuation? Are there other investment properties that they could sell down, clear the debt, for example? Do they have more in assets? So then the lender note, because a human will pick this up going inside the bank and look at this. So the human making a decision. We know the questions that they want answered. Is it around living expenses? Is it around debt levels? Is it around why it's interest only? So being able to anticipate the questions that a bank has and be able to put a lot of detail in the notes, that's the part that I think that for us, we get really proud of as a team, going our loan submission notes and our quality is high. Because here's one thing that clients hate, which is rework. It goes back to a customer. We need more information. It goes back to the bank, back and right. So like, don't you do this daily? You should know what the bank is asking for. And trying to raise the bar on a client experience. We're not perfect. Banks will change the goalpost, but it's being able to go, hey, look, we've addressed that. We've answered the questions. The bank is just looking for a bit more confirmation here as well. And I think that's one part that we're trying to really be advocates for, which is a higher standard of loan submissions that go to a bank to reduce rework.
So, at the beginning of the show, I sort of said, money, money, money. You're thinking about buying property, but you're not really sure of your the right way to do it. When someone comes to you with a client, do you just deal with banks, or are you dealing with other financial institutions that are lending money as well?
Yeah, definitely. So you got a couple of iterations. One is the major banks, second tiers like your INGs, Macquarie banks. There's non-bank lenders as well. Some people like called First Mac, Pepper, Resimac, and then all the way through to private lenders or non-conforming lenders as well. And each have their own niche, their own products there as well. So in all, we've got access to about 31 different lenders, with I think over 450 type of loan products that sit behind that as well. A really important part to note is what they call the Australian Deposit Taking Institute guarantee. So every lender that we have is backed by the government. And I think that's a really big part that came out kind of post GFC to go, these banks, I've never heard of them yet, but in order for us to be able to deal with them, they've got to be government backed as well. So I guess if they distribute through a broker, there are some lenders that predominantly distribute through brokers because they don't have the reach or a branch network. So they use brokers as their distribution method, but just know that they're all vetted and supported and backed by the government to give customers that confidence as well.
Okay, all right. So how does someone find you? Where do you get your leads from? I mean, what's the best way to, as you said, sometimes people just like to sit back and look, right? And sort of let's see if they read those criteria. Some people are ready yet. Not ready yet. Some people are ready. What would be the different channels you would say would be a great way to reach out to you?
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, our website, check us out, atelierwealth.com.au. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to say there's only one of me in the world. So when you look up my name, there's only me. So jump on LinkedIn and connect. People check us out through our socials, but the ideal way is once you've checked us out and you want to have a chat, feel free to reach out. So we'll do a 20, 30-minute initial discussion just to find out, can we help? Are we the right fit for each other as well? And off the back of that, we'll then take a life of its own, where it's, do we look under the hood and do a portfolio review? Do we put a bit of a game plan in place to say, look, if you want to buy in the next, say, 6 to 12 months, what's your savings target? How much do you need to kind of build in place to have healthy cash buffers as well? Or is it a bit of a second opinion that if you're unsure of what advice you've been given, can we just help give you that confidence, say, yep, you're on the right track, and you may have a trusted professional in place. That's all good. But as long as we can give you that confidence that you've never been able to seek out a second opinion, happy to do that too.
I think a lot of people get scared about that, sort of going, like, I don't want to waste Aaron's time, but you're okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, because we've been the customer's been really open with us as well. So we're happy to go, yeah, we know, we respect your relationship there. When this happens a number of times, even if they've got, hey, look, a close friend or a family member is a broker or a financial planner, or whatever it's going to be, I'm like, that's great. They're just seeking a little bit of confidence, and that's okay. As long as you've been honest with us, we can give you really honest and open feedback, and we're not trying to sell a loan. You can't sell a home loan. You need to have a property, and you need to go through someone you trust. And if you've already got someone, you're just seeking a bit of guidance. We're here to help.
Now, you came into my space by referral, an introduction through Susan. Do you also then refer certain businesses?
Absolutely.
Like, what are the industries you find easy to refer onto? Yeah,
definitely. So the big ones for us are conveyancing. So people are buying property. That typically our next chain across is a conveyancer to review the contract of sale. That's one. In my space, dealing with property investors, buyers agents are a big one. So you mentioned Susan from Cala Property. Buyers agents become a really popular introduction for me and to me as well. Accountants, because when we're looking at, say, capital gains, negative gearing, getting accountants look under their hood as well. That's particularly relevant for Bernadette to speak to accountants. Financial planners are a good one, because if we're looking into a loan strategy, do we need to engage their financial planner before we set and pull the trigger on a particular type of loan? That to me is when we've got, and then maybe an insurance broker if they're starting to build a portfolio as well. So the team will grow as a portfolio grows, and that's a good sign, because the more professionals that you have in your corner with your success at the core of kind of their partnerships, that's what we're looking for.
Correct.
And we each will kind of raise the bar in each other's business, going, hey, I've just had a chat to them. Here's what they're looking to do. And there's enough kind of love to go around the client that at any point, someone's reaching out to them to keep them on track with, were they looking to buy another property in the next few months? Were they looking to pay down the loan? Were they looking to minimize tax? And we each come up from a very different lens as well.
I think, when I'm back to my example of my daughter, introducing her to a broker, I think it's really good that the broker actually has a network of people behind them as well, because then you can only offer a certain advice. And then when they need to go and have a financial planner have a look at their material and then provide them that particular advice, you work very closely with those, that other industry, right? And if you're carrying those types of relationships of your referral partners, your accountants, all that sort of thing, you really can help them in that finance space.
Correct.
Yeah. Is there anything else that we're about to wrap up, but is there anything else that you wanted to mention to the listeners today?
No, I think so I mean, for us, finances tend to be at the core of from a family, whether that's families that are looking to upgrade their home, families that maybe thought they weren't able to buy a property, families that were thinking, how do we get our kids into the property market? I mean, you look at your 20-year-old daughter, and it's like getting into property harder now. Imagining 15, 20 years time when she wants to buy a next home, for example. And again, being able to have really open conversations with money as a family. In my family, we didn't speak openly about money.
No.
Maybe part culturally, maybe because it was just like it's rude to talk about money. Whereas I know for Bernadette's family, they spoke openly about money, and that's just a different relationship. So it's not right or wrong; it's just how we're raised. So I think what we're trying to do is, someone like Barefoot Investor has done a great job at bringing finances to the dinner table and going, we can speak openly about this and respectfully about money, rather than kind of digging our head in the sand. And I think if people are looking for a place to start to have good conversations as a couple or as a family around money, Barefoot's a great place to start as well. And the other part is educating yourself. So quite often I deal with, for example, finance professionals that are really good at doing the books for their business or their employer, but aren't looking in their own backyard as well and kind of taking care of their own personal balance sheet. And it's like you need to be able to put yourself first financially, then your employer sometimes, because I guess you're the product. And so for us, that's what we're trying to do, is take back a little bit of control personally, going, not knowing or it's too complicated isn't good enough. It's not a story that you can tell yourself anymore. You need to educate yourself. You need to own it. Otherwise, someone's going to take your money off you. And that's genuinely what I say to people. If you're not good with your money, someone else will be.
Someone else will be. Absolutely. So where do you see the market being in the next, 6 months, especially with, I don't expect you to have the crystal ball, but at some point, all this money needs to be recuperated, right? Landlords need to get their money back. The tenants need to pay. My friend Adam Lyle talks about, there's a big loom sort of coming in regards to COVID. But that means that a lot of people are going to be put under financial stress. And if you're talking about the family unit, one of the things, the highest rate in divorce is obviously finances. Right. People start bickering about things, and then you don't have those open conversations and breakdown. All right. So where do you see, the next 6 months, and what could someone start doing by using a broker, just sort of saying, hey, listen, I don't know, what sort of loan we've got. I really need to be reviewing that to make sure that I've got it the best, right? And how often is too quickly to review?
Yeah, okay. So there's a couple of questions there. One, I think you said, was where's the market going? And I laughed because we literally had this chat in our team meeting at the start of the day. For us, we just feel like the entire system is built on property. The government's come out with a budget that doubles down on two things. One, it's business, and two, it's property. They're telling the banks to start relaxing lending from next year. After coming through Royal Commission, it seems kind of contradictory to go, hey, chill out and lend more. So for me, all the incentives around first-time buyers, I don't see the market crash as much as I guess everyone's expected it. Rates are coming down. The banks are being told to lend. The banks are too big to fail. The government's doing a lot of discounts around stamp duty. It's like we're doubled down on property. And so for me, as long as I've been doing this, all I've ever known is for people to predict the market to go down, and we haven't seen it. So I find it really hard to see the crash that's coming, or the I get it. There's some elements of the economy that go, that's a risk, because we've got an unemployment rate, we've got low cash rates. So from a broader economy, the RBA is not just looking at housing, they're looking at exports, they're looking at inflation, they're looking at employment rate. So I get it, the dollar. But as a very micro level, for me, my family, my household, my budget, my loan, if you're not reviewing it probably every 2 years as a really good indicator, that's one part where you go, hey, look, could we be up for reviewing this? Call your bank. The easiest thing you could do is call your existing bank. I want a lower rate. You don't ask, you don't get. And so that's the easiest thing. If they don't, then you've got to vote with your feet. And if you're too busy to vote with your feet, then that's the busy tax that you pay for it, or lazy tax. to not be able to move your loan. I guess the other part behind that is if you keep moving your loan, you keep pushing it out for another 30 years. So effectively, are you just deferring and extending the loan, or you're actually going to start paying it down and shrinking the loan term down, which again, it's all well and good to refinance and push the loan out. But if you keep pushing that loan out another 30 years, is that loan balance actually coming down as well?
Good tips, good things to think about there. All right, we might end it there. You did sort of say to people to reach out and you'll happily do a review. Does that still stand? Yep.
Absolutely. Yep.
All right. So we do have one person here that we have a couple of people, but the one that I'm going to show here that said, hello, ACD from WLC.
That'll be Wendy Lloyd Curley, I'm sure.
I'm sure it is. So correct. Wendy's not showing a face there, but I'm sure there is a candle in there burning brightly. Nice to have you on their show, Wendy. Thanks very much for listening. All right, so we will wrap it up there. Aaron, thank you so much for being on the show today. I'm glad your voice is better.
Thank you, mate. Appreciate
it. That's all right. And good luck in the next couple of weeks with the birth of your second baby. Do we know whether it's a boy or a girl?
We don't. We're keeping a surprise.
No, good for you.
Which would be nice. And whatever we're blessed with, happy, healthy, sleepy, lazy, all of the above, mate.
when you think about everything that could be going on, right? Really,
right.
If you just have a happy, healthy baby, and then also for Bernadette to recover and come out of hospital and everything, just to come back home, you're just sort of going, I've won the lotto. You don't realise that the chance of actually making a baby are just 1 in a billion anyway.
Mate, you're spot on. Like for that even to happen, it's a miracle in itself. We see so many people that go through IVF in a very expensive way. It's like you're blessed if it happens as naturally as possible, mate. So
when I was watching the show the other day and I saw people that've done 7 IVFs, right? That's a big expense in terms of emotional and finance. Then they've decided to take, I guess, a baby from there's a Eastern Bloc country that they were bringing the baby back. So they've gone over there and they don't know if they're going to come back. But just imagine the desperation. They so want to be parents, right? And yet I sort of went, you know what, bang, we fell pregnant with one. And 10 months later, we had another one. I sort of went, so you can whinge about a lot of things, people. But, like if you're happy and you're healthy, you've got and shelter above your head, my God, you're so far in front. All right, then. Thank you so much for spending the time with me.
Thank you, mate.
Have an awesome day. My name is Glenn Kirkwood, aka That Referral Guy. And remember to make, build, and share connections. And I'll see you next Tuesday. Bye for now.
Beautiful. Thanks, mate. Bye.